Well, hello there. This is the starting of another video, hopefully, of this 1970 Ford Mustang Fastback. And it is apart down to the point of the floor, the trunk, and the firewall. Now, I had to take it all apart so I could start welding it, and it's been coming along pretty good. Hopefully, it'll go smooth like it's been going. It's definitely a time-consuming job, and as I'll point out, you can see the spot welds that go up and around on the firewall. I started on the right side, which would be passenger side, and as I go along, and I've spot welded all through here with that machine right there. And so you can, I think these are called probes, I'm not really sure, but there's different attachments, and those are the longer ones to reach in farther. So I have those on there, and they are cooled by the water that's in that container. Very unique system. And when it's gotten to the point where you go up and around the transmission tunnel, I had to make some cuts to fit it really nice and tight and go up and around towards the top and weld everything into place, and then smoothen it out. And then I worked my way around over to here. It was, I think, stronger end result of me using that welder to weld up around the torque boxes, up and around. I did use the other welder, spot welder. You can see those spots to put in the extension that needed to go in here. That was all MIG welds. The gap that I had to fill in so that this side panel could reach the quarter panel. So all that was done. Actually, I did that Friday. And yesterday was Monday, and I've been welding in up and over the rear part of the unibody section. And because of the thickness of the metal in the unibody and the difficulty of getting it this unit, which would work, but I think you needed two people to make sure that that arm would go up and inside there. So to get more of a direct weld, I just drilled holes within probably 1 3/4 spacing and just welded it direct. Boom, right on top there. And the same thing with over here and certain areas. And as you can see, I welded through here and did the same thing, cut it and fit it. And I still got a little more welding to do here, but I wanted to get it latched on there tight so I could finish this. I just was underneath with the wire wheel to take off the paint, primer / whatever, so that I could take the spot welder and hit all through here. And the same thing, which probably be about here, going across. And I went right across and took the paint off so that I'd have better connection with the unit right there, because you know these things interact with each other. Once they come down, they clamp down. That's what creates the weld. So I want to make sure I was getting a good bite on it, so to get a solid weld, and to make sure you take a hammer to it. Yeah, make sure it doesn't pop apart. That's how you test it. So I'm moving along. I know I'll be on the rest of this for the rest of the day. Maybe I'll do a little bit more tonight, but hopefully tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow, I should have the rest of this whole floor section all welded in, except for these, unless I cut the inner rocker out that I need to cut, and I have to use that skeleton, that's what I'll call it, as my sample piece, because the dimensions change. It gets taller over in here as it is in the doorway, and the same past the doorway. So if I could make it work really nice, get my measurements good, I'll cut the piece and fit it here, and then if that does work out well, then I can put these parts in there. Those are for the front seats. I can put them in before putting the side skeleton on, because it would be easier if I could use the spot welder. Yes, because this is how it comes, and those holes right there is where, when you go to bolt the seat up into that part there, it comes up through, and these holes line up with those holes and those holes and those and those. So I kind of want to do it that way so that it won't take me as long to spot these in, because I remember doing a set where, you know, the car was together and I replaced the floor. You really couldn't get in there, even with them being what they are, because of the car itself, the outer rocker, the space it took up, and the height. So knowing I'd have nothing here on the side, I'd be able to get in there and do that, because to drill it and weld each one, it just takes a lot more time. It's strong, and that's strong too. Either way, it's a strong fit, but I'm looking at time, and time will tell the story, as I always say, and then I can get these both in and get them fitted just right, because I know I got to get a little creative. I think with that side I might have already started to just alter these a little bit, the flange, because, you know, they're not perfect, but to make sure I have the room I need to fit these. So that's my plan. That's what I plan on doing, and I want to get back to it. So in the meantime, stand by. Okay, I'm back, and I got the rest of this side welded up between using the spot welder up through here, and on this part here for the centerpiece where the shocks actually get mounted underneath, there is a frame support that goes across. So top and bottom on this half is now welded, and then the tail end of this section here of the unibody is now, that's been plug welded. Yeah, I felt a little more confident with that, because getting into that tight area would probably work, but I wanted to make sure it was a solid fit. That's like I did the same thing up through here. So we're moving along. And the other thing I want to mention, my last two videos, YouTube censored a part of it, or all of it, and mentioned something about copyright infringements. The radio was playing in the background, so whatever song was on, not that it was coming through loud, but it still came through, and they cried about it, and I needed to do something about it. I don't know what would take place if I didn't. So they gave options, and one of the options was for them to delete the sound on the section that they felt was being copyrighted. That's funny. I found the whole experience to be funny. I can't tell you how many videos I watched with music playing in the background. I don't know if they had issues, but they provided an issue with me, for me. That's fine. I don't really care. That's why the voice of what I was saying disappeared. Oh well, I know better for the next time. I can care less about the music that's playing in the background while I'm doing a video. You know, they can keep their nonsense, their silliness, and keep it all. I can care less. So moving forward, I'm going to now just inspect the whole right side, which would be passenger side, and make sure that I got everything done. And I'm going to either start the other side, proceed, or clear out all that silliness back there. I got a little fuzzy as it focused, and get my 16 gauge 4x8 sheet metal out of there and figure out where I'm going to set it up to cut the piece out that I need over here so I could pre-fit it over here to see if I'm going to be able to do what I want to do so I can finish putting that piece in. So I got to think about it, figure out a strategy so I can move forward. So in the meantime, stand by. Alrighty, Puss in Boots and I are back. Here she is. She just took a gander. And I decided to cut the material I need for the inner rocker of this frame, skeleton frame for the 1970 Fastback Mustang. So I did clear all the stuff out of the corner so I can sneak the panel out of there. It's 4x8 sheet. It's got some weight to it. Got some construction paper, little donation from Playdate W, and you know, I traced it out over there and I put the yellow tape on top of it to make it a little bit thicker, make it a little bit easier to follow the pattern. That with some vice grips, magnets, and the pencil 4 marking metal, it's all traced out. So for the first time, I'm going to be using that plasma cutter. Yep, looking forward to giving that a whirl and see what happens. Yeah, and keep in mind, see, there's no music playing in the background there, Mr. or Mrs. YouTuber. That's right. Now, once I cut that out, the best part of that, it just the opposite side where it's flipped, it's just a flat piece of metal. It will work for the other side. So once I cut this piece out, I will check it out and see how it fits on that one, which it should be fine if you can sneak it around the corner there. But I know that it will fit this one because that's one I traced it out of. So let me get to it. Let me get the plasma cutter doing its thing, and once it's all cut out, we'll chime back in. So stand by. Here we are. And there goes Puss in Boots. But they are cut out. Nice 2 pieces. All I gotta do is just clean it up a little bit. It's really not much to clean up, just very little. I'll take care of that. And I gotta get me a new wire wheel for the grinder slash whatever. Maybe something similar to this or the cup style one. Need a new one so I can clean up the surface stuff here and get that cleaned up. But this baby came through, man, like it was nothing, and I don't even know how to set it. But I guess I didn't really need to know how to set it because it actually worked rather quickly. It is 16 gauge, you know, it's not like it's thick material, but 16 gauge is perfect for what I'm doing. So what I gotta do now is just get this stuff cleaned up. I want to get this sheet back where it belongs, over in there, and once I get that back where it belongs, then I get this other stuff put away. But I want to make sure it doesn't stay out here in the weather because it looks like rain. So that's the story, and that will definitely put me until tomorrow. So until then, peace out. Okay, it's the next day. Puss in Boots and I are back at it again. Yep. And I just got back from a place that sells raw material, metal, aluminum. And I want to prove a point of what I said in my prior videos about, I think my earpiece is going to go crazy on me. So, before I lose the audio, I'll put it away. Okay, so I'm going to prove a point. I went to Home Depot about a week ago, and I bought this thin square stock, tubular-like style material. A 3-footer and a 4-footer. 1 inch all the way around. okay, 1 inch square. And I said it was $65. I thought I was being robbed, and I was. And I did mention you can go and buy the full stock, full length, 20 foot, for probably half that. Well, I proved it. This might not be exactly the same material. It is angle iron, and it is 1/8 thick, which appears to be maybe twice the thickness of that material over there. Yep, twice at least. And it is 14 foot long. You see just how long it is, 14 foot. I could have bought the full 20 foot stick. I really didn't need it. I actually got a little more than I needed, just in case I might need it, a small piece down the road. And this piece cost me $24. That's crazy. This is a great price, $24, not $65 for twice the length. 7 feet total. This is 14 feet. Granted, it is not the same exact material, square stock. This is angle iron, and it's construction angle iron. It's not decorative angle iron, because they do sell that as well. So, prove the point. The cat agreed. Let's put some boots here. Wants more and more attention. I know she has food, so it ain't about having food. But if you took this piece and cut it in half and made square stock out of it, 7 foot, it would still be $24. Man, what a ripoff. But I needed this material so that I could finish off the pieces that I plasma cutted yesterday, the side panels, inner rockers that belong right in there. So I'm going to get to it. I need to clean up the material. I bought wire wheels finally so I can clean this material up, make it pretty again, and get to it. So in the meantime, stand by. Alright, here we are. I got the pieces cleaned up, and I actually put some paint on the other side of this piece here. Not where it's going to be welded, but took up, say, 3/4 of the inside strip. And actually there it is, Rust-Oleum paint I sprayed in there. I got my piece in. It's all been spot welded in, being angle iron. Nice and strong now, solid. The pan for the seat is all spot welded in, except for up here. I did the regular MIG welding, because that unit can't go up and around like. And then I plug welded the area where the unibody is, that goes across the floor and up the firewall. I'd rather do it that way when it comes to this, because for me, knowing that I did weld it solid, I feel secure about it. And I'll do the same thing for the other side. In the meantime, I changed out the copper ends from the long one to the short one, so that I could start spot welding this panel in. And once it's all spot welded in, then across the bottom here, I'm going to drill holes across the bottom so that I could actually plug weld this side panel to that, especially the angle iron, the 3/4 inch, so it's a solid weld. So I'd rather drill it before I put it on there. It will make it a little bit easier, and go from there. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to plug this baby back in, hook the ground up to it, and start plug welding, well, not plug welding, spot welding away. So until then, stand by. Alright, here we are. And let's see, where do I start? I got the side section in place. I don't have it welded in 100% at all, because the other side, that piece, has to be put in first, so that this way I can 100% square it up. Even though I got it at the marks that I've made the screw holes that I made all along and fitted everything nice and tight. The floor, the marks. I got all this stuff here all welded up too. I did finish welding up this plate here this morning on the inside, the inner rocker. There's a total of 80 spot welds and plug welding total on this, 80. And it'll be the same thing for that piece there. The plug welds end up going in areas like here where you can't get the welder in, and also spots like that. And the rest is all that machine right there. And I noticed with that machine, I can't go to town like I did yesterday on that thing. I gotta let the heat cool down in the wiring, because it starts to get, the plug got pretty hot and it started to get to the point where it's starting to melt. So I took it out, I took it apart, made sure everything was clean, reattached it, and went from there and made sure that the plug that it was in didn't have an issue. And I did use it this morning, and I took my time with it. I did a few, let it cool down, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to start on the left side driver on the firewall and make sure it gets sucked into place and welded up. And once that's all 100% in place, then I'll start on this part of the floor, which everything should just go right the way it is, because that side went right the way it is. Everything welded up nice, and I'll be able to carry through the rest of it, get the unibody attached underneath, and I will plug weld that. Like I mentioned in my ordeal yesterday, I plug weld them just to make sure it was tight, strong. And in certain areas, same thing over through here. I want to make sure, because it is the unibody. I can spot weld it, and that's how the cars were built back then and still to this day. But I just want to be sure. I want to make sure it stays strong. I will finish using the spot welder. I won't plug it, weld it to go through here, and as I did over there, carry through and go right through there, because that's the center section there where the shocks and stuff get mounted. It's part of the structure for the unibody, so that'll go in place. So once I get this fitted, I will cut the angle iron like I did on that side with this piece right here. This piece is 3/4 inch, 1/8 thick, pretty strong stuff. Yep, cut a piece of that, clean it up, and I will spot weld that in place. That held up real nice over there, and I'll do the same thing over here. So it actually made the floor so much stronger than just trying to weld it up onto the inner rocker. That was, when I got done putting that piece in and welding it in, it was solid. I mean, it wouldn't move for nothing. And I wouldn't say that it wouldn't move for nothing if I didn't weld it directly pan to the inner rocker, but I feel as though this is so much better, so much stronger, because it connects from the rear torque box to the front torque box. I have them welded together on both ends to bring it together, you know, to make sure it stays in position. It's, you know, it's not major, but every little step, I believe, helps it make it that much stronger. Just my view, my opinion. You all have a different opinion. Feel free to put that in the comment box, not a problem. But I want to get to it and get this welded up over here. Make sure it's fitted nice and tight. Take the screws out over there, make sure she fits real nice. And then once that's in place, then I'll tack that down, make sure she's in, and then put that piece in next. So let me get to it, and I'll chime back in when I got something more to show. All right, I'm back, and I'm going to bring you up to date on the process, and also show you the process of the spot welding with that machine right there. I already got started. So the driver's side is all been between spot welded and plug welded, as you can see through there and along the bottom where the unibody goes. And I started along the process of the torque box, and I got a couple of marks to where I know I gotta do the same thing and continue on the rest of the floor section, just like I did over on the right side. So I got hopefully the stand set up. I know the equipment is set up. I've already got started, and that thing gets pretty hot. So hopefully when I put you on the stand, it doesn't fall over. I need a new one. Yep. You know, with no source of income, you know, no sponsorship or anything like that. Just don't buy things when you don't need them. When you can hopefully get around it. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see here. This is very touchy phone. Yeah, very touchy. There we go. Can you see? Yeah, the dumb thing wants to tilt over. Okay, that's not too bad. I think that'll work out just fine. Yeah. I have this rope here to pull the body away from the stand, so I make it a little easier for you to get the device underneath there and kind of hidden. So you definitely have to wear welding gloves, because that unit gets hot so you won't be able to hold it. You will definitely get 3-degree burns. You don't want that. These aren't the best gloves, but I have better ones that are used for welding. So, I'll turn it on. The air is already plugged in. Now you'll get to see what happens. Hopefully we'll get it up. See that? And then the noise it makes is the welding process. I give it a couple of seconds to hold the position. Start again. You can see turn colors. I do it twice. The process. Sometimes I do it 3 times. It all depends. This is 16 gauge material, so it's pretty thick on both sides. So I gotta make sure that it does what it needs to do and weld itself up. Yeah, this thing is probably 15 pounds, no more than 20. And then you got that lines that are real thick attached to it, along with this unit. And now I'm going to take the clamp off, and hopefully it did its job. And yes, it did. It's a good thing. Just like to make sure that this stays where I want it. Do a couple of more. I don't want to bore you. That's the reason why I don't film some of this stuff, because who the heck wants to see this, you know, for however long it takes. But at least now you have an idea on how this machine works and the process and how much time you save versus plug welding like I do over there on the floor. See, that was hot. So, you know, this saves a lot of time. But these units cost money, and this is a used one, but it works well. Alright, so, that's enough of that one. But I had to do minor repair that had to do with the air, because that thing is operated by air pressure where the jaw is closed. And the air inside that box itself that I'll point out had, you know, ended up, it's a plastic line and it sprung a leak. Yeah, inside that box there, it sprung a leak. So I opened it up, took the top panel, lifted it as far as I could, and I was able to get in there. And it's a push-on like fitting, which is great. So I had new hose, and I ended up replacing it, made it a little bit longer just in case if I had to open that up again, and it worked out well. And hopefully she'll stay working steady, because I really don't know much about that. And that, I'm going for a spin. And that tank there on the bottom holds water, and the water feeds down through there, I guess, to hold a certain temperature so it doesn't overheat. And I keep enough water in that. As you can see right there, all the stains going on, that's the water coming out. But that's all right. As long as I keep it full, it'll be fine. So I want to finish doing this up, depending on the field temperature of the plug over there. I don't want to get too hot. I might just give it a break and head back over to here with my MIG welder and start welding that stuff up over there, and then go back to this over here, because it took 80 between mostly spot welds and some plug welds. 80 total on the right side, and no doubt it'll be about the same thing on this side. So let me get back to it, and in the meantime, stand by. Alright, here we are today. It is Saturday actually, and I decided I wanted to complete one more task. Actually, I wanted to complete it yesterday, and that didn't happen. Got a little tied up taking care of another client's car a little bit to get it ready for next week's actual Tuesday into the rest of the week's job. So I felt I wanted to get the piece of angle iron welded in, as I showed you the stock that I bought right here. I cut a piece which was like 51 and a 16th long to go on the driver's side, attach it to the floor pan, attach it to the front torque box, as well as to the rear torque box. I wanted to get that done, make it freaking solid. That's what I want. I know it's not part of the norm. What ends up happening is the floor pan gets welded to the inner rocker, and that's fine. That's the way they built them back in the day, but I felt it. I wanted it stronger, and stronger it is. So having a 3/4 inch angle iron on both sides, 1/8 inch sticks, gives me a lot more solid welding room, and actually makes it stronger just on the pan side, and brings the connection between the front and the rear torque box. So that was my plan. I got it done. I'm glad it's finished, and Monday I will proceed back on it. I'm going to, smoothen out a lot of the plug welds that I've already done on this side here, and I will continue to weld. I did spot weld along the cross piece here in the back by the trunk and the rear floor pan, and I started along here and over here, but the rest, like I started over here off of the torque box, plug welding, and I will follow the rest of that to the back and make it complete. And then once that's in and done, then I will place that piece, which I've already shown has that inner rocker on there, and I dusted it with some Rust-Oleum paint. I don't want to dust it too much. I don't want to spend more time trying to clean it when I go to weld it to the angle iron. So that one's not welded in, and it won't be welded in until that one is set in, and then I can angle measure and square it up, make sure it is where it needs to be, and it'll go together a lot easier and better, and I don't have to worry about anything silly taking place. So, but once I have all these welded in, I got to put the pan in for the seat, like that one's in. So I'm going to end this video here. I do appreciate people watching. Whoever does watch, I do appreciate it. Thank you. And one day it'll help the channel out, I hope. I'll have what YouTube is looking for to make anything out of it. Maybe some companies will sponsor, who knows. It'd be great. If it happens, terrific. If not, I'm still gonna do the video because, you know, like this here is for sale, and that might help get it out there even further. Maybe somebody interested in buying it, finishing it themselves, or even buying it and have me then finish it. Who knows? But once again, if you'd give me that thumbs up, the like, and subscribe, that'd be great. Until then, thanks again, and see you soon.